Welcome in the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are breaking down the AFC today, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, man, the people in the room. Grant, welcome in to Ride the Line.
Thank you, Tanner. Thank you as always. Welcome in to Ride the Line, everybody. Beautiful Wednesday morning out here in the DMV. Had some really nasty wintry days, but starting to feel a little bit better. But tell you what it does feel like. It does feel like playoff football. And we've got two huge matchups this weekend to determine who goes to the Super Bowl.
Yes, we do. Now we're going to break down everything in this game from the money line, the spread, the total, the props. So make sure you stay tuned for the entire episode. But before we get into that, make sure you follow the page, like, share, subscribe, do it all. Leave a comment. Let us know who you're taking. Let us know why you think this line is moving away from the Chiefs so bad. And we'll get back to you on that, Grant.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what everybody has to say. I'm wondering if we're going to see some reverse movement closer to kickoff because right now people are eating the Ravens up.
I think the line will probably move back towards the Chiefs a little bit right before kickoff because you're going to get the public taking Patrick Mahomes. But it's so surprising seeing how, I know this Chiefs team is not that good, but they still have Patrick Mahomes. Like every time you bet against Patrick Mahomes, you can say he doesn't have the better team, but he still finds a way to win. So it's really weird seeing that the Chiefs are now plus 3.5, plus 4, as you were saying in some places. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Even though the Ravens are clearly the better team, still a lot for them to win by 4 points.
Yeah, 100%. And this is a crazy stat that I saw earlier. The Ravens had 9 games where they beat a team with a winning record by at least 14 points in this season alone. It's almost unprecedented what they're doing. We were having a conversation off air about if you take this Chiefs team and you leave everything the same and drop in just another elite quarterback, whether you want to go with maybe if Lamar played for them or if you want to put Josh Allen in there, this line kind of probably moves closer to the 5, 6, 7 range, probably just because of the respect the odds makers have for Mahomes. But as far as players 1 through 53, Baltimore is the best team in this matchup and the best team in the league, in my opinion.
100%. Nobody can hang with Baltimore, it doesn't look like. Even the Chiefs. Now, I think this game could go a couple different ways. Just talk in general here. I think the Chiefs could keep it close and find a way to win it. There's obviously a route for Patrick Mahomes to win this game. But based on the line movement, there's also a path for Baltimore to blow their doors off. There really is based on what they've done. I don't think it's as likely. And I probably wouldn't bet on that side of the line. But this defense is really good. The offense is fantastic. Lamar Jackson's going to have a big game. We know that. So it wouldn't be surprising for me to see either side, like Patrick Mahomes wins or the Ravens win. What about you?
Yeah, so I agree. First of all, just as far as straight up, let's take the spread out of it and not even worry about money line odds. Just purely who is going to win this game. I don't know. I don't have any type of lean. If I'm setting the spread personally, I'm setting it at 0-0. I can't tell you which side has the advantage in this game. Looking at what Lamar's been able to do, obviously he's going to win MVP, but he has turned it on. I mean, just looking at his QBR in his last 3 games, he has 86 against the Niners. That's the game where he has 252 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then he goes 95 against the Dolphins, has 5 touchdowns, and he has a 94 against the Texans last week, 4 total touchdowns. He's been sensational for the last 3 games that he's been on the field. He's getting a big test here against the Chiefs. The Chiefs were second in points allowed, second in yards allowed, second in sacks. It's going to be tough for him, but I feel like this is the best version of Lamar we've seen. I know his best numbers were in 2019, but when you just watch the games, his ability to extend plays, if it isn't a run or an immediate, like a screen pass or something like that, he will buy 5, 6, 7 seconds in the pocket before making a decision whether to tuck and run or whether to throw the ball. And no defense in the world can cover somebody for 7 seconds, can cover a receiver for that long. So his ability to extend plays, his ability to use his legs effectively, his obvious deep ball that he's also had, combined with a new touch in the short and intermediate game, this is the most dangerous version of Lamar Jackson we've ever seen.
Now, I can kind of understand why the spread is what it's at thinking about it. Now, you look at Buffalo Bills. They gave the Chiefs everything they had. Now, the Chiefs did dominate that game top to bottom, but Kansas City only pulled out a 3-point victory, and there was a position where the Bills were in to win the game at the end. So you look at the Ravens team. They are much better on defense than the Buffalo Bills. They're much healthier on defense, too. And the Chiefs did dominate the Bills. but the Ravens it's probably not going to go the same way. Then on offense, the Ravens, they're much better than the Bills as well. And the Chiefs are on the road here. So I can see why it's this high, but it's just hard. It's kind of like Tom Brady last year. I'd equate it to this. Tom Brady playing for the Buccaneers last year in the wild card against the Cowboys. He's a 3.5-point home underdog. And we're like, this is Tom Brady. But overall, the team isn't the same. And now Patrick Mahomes obviously can make more plays than a 45-year-old Tom Brady, but still, I think Mahomes has that allure. So maybe that's what's fooling us here with the spread.
So I don't know if fooling might be the correct word. I would say influencing. I think that's probably more the right way to go because Mahomes in his career is 9-1-1 against the spread as an underdog. So how many points do you actually need to give him? He's lost 3 career playoff games. Take out 2 of them, which were to Tom Brady. One of them was his first big playoff game ever. It was the AFC Championship game in 2018, the year before he won the first MVP. Or no, I think it was the year he won the first MVP, but his first time really in the playoffs. And then there was the Super Bowl where he just had no hope. He was overwhelmed by the defense. Take out those 2 losses to Brady. He's lost 1 playoff game, and it was by 3 points. So are we saying this Ravens team is ready to beat him the way that really nobody has, again, except for Tom Brady-led teams? I don't know. And, you're talking about just the Ravens being better across the board than the Bills were and how close the Bills played them. Well, I understand that the Bills were only lost by 3 points. The Chiefs fumbled the ball through the back of the end zone. That could have easily been a 10-point game right there. And then before the kneel downs, the end of game kneel downs, the Chiefs averaged 9 yards per play. Brock Purdy averaged 9 yards per attempt, led the NFL. This wasn't 9 yards per attempt, 9 yards per pass. This was 9 yards per play. So that's the best the Chiefs offense has looked all year. And they do have a defense that, while it's not quite as good as Baltimore's, is the closest you will find in the NFL. So I don't think it's totally fair or totally such a smart idea to write off the Chiefs entirely.
No, you can't write off the Chiefs at all because of Mahomes, and they're playing good. But I'm going to take the Ravens to win the game outright. I wouldn't bet minus 200 by any means. I think there's going to be better live betting opportunities. But as hard as it is for me to go against Mahomes, I do think the Ravens win this game because they are the stronger team.
So there's a stylistic advantage the Ravens have in this game, and it's been a weakness of the Chiefs all year long. This is the one weakness their defense has had. The Chiefs allowed the 8th most rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks. Now, you might be saying they're second in sacks, as we talk about on this show. Always smart to bet quarterback rushing overs when the other team can get pressure on the quarterback because they have to tuck and run. But Kansas City didn't play a bunch of scrambling quarterbacks. They didn't play Lamar. They didn't play Jalen Hurts. And again, they were bottom 8 in rush yards allowed to quarterbacks. Look at what happened last week. Josh Allen carries the ball 12 times for 72 yards, 6 yards per carry, ends up with 2 touchdowns. If the Chiefs can't scheme up a way, if Steve Spagnuolo and company can't figure out how to contain the threat of the quarterback run, Lamar's going to eat them alive. He ran the ball 11 times for 100 yards last week, had 2 touchdowns to boot. And obviously with the blend of the Ravens, who average more rushing yards per game than every team in the league, with Lamar's ability to throw the downfield pass, the play action, and even the combo stuff, not only the RPOs, but like last week where they ran that sweep to the right side, and then right at the end of the play where Lamar would break forward, make his move. It was a hidden pass play. He lobs it down. Isaiah likely scores a touchdown. The Chiefs really have their work cut out for them trying to figure out how they're going to slow down the threat of that quarterback run because Josh Allen ate him up. And if they let Lamar do the same thing, the Ravens will win that game.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to because when it comes to rushing yards, and we're both going to be on Lamar's rushing yards, I believe it's 63.5.
Yep.
So when you look at Lamar run the football, if the Chiefs get pressure on him, he can escape the pocket. If they don't get pressure on him, which is even more dangerous because the secondary turns their back, he's got time to rip through a hole and break off a massive gain. He's so much more explosive. And Josh Allen's one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL. They're different styles, obviously, but Lamar's a lot quicker. He can make bigger plays with the same amount of space. So now Josh Allen has 70 yards last week against you. Lamar's going to turn that into 100 with ease. And then the designed run game as well, which they're going to utilize a lot with him. So I think the Chiefs' best chance of shutting Lamar down is in the designed run game because you can plan for it. But if you're third and long for the Chiefs, like you got to watch out with Lamar's legs. You got to put a spy on him. And even at that point, he's still good enough to rip off big gains. He's still going to run by you. He's going to run around you. So it's going to be an interesting matchup for the Chiefs. Like they have their hands full here. I think the 3 points is warranted. 3.5, 4 is definitely getting up there a little bit. But I definitely wouldn't want to lay it with the Baltimore Ravens.
No, and just to put a little bow on this too, not only are Lamar's legs, a threat just for yards and points, but we saw the Bills had the ball for more than 37 minutes last week. The Chiefs did win that game, but if you were to go to Andy Reid and say, "Hey, Andy, you are going to have the ball for less than 24 minutes. How you feeling?" He wouldn't say we're going to win that game. Again, great offensive performance last week, but that's not an approach that you can consistently replicate and hope to walk away with. And the Bills also went 7 for 14 on third down, 2 for 3 on fourth down, one of those being the botched fake punt. So again, the threat of those legs can change so much. Time of possession, key situations, obviously in the red zone. So the Chiefs do have their work cut out for them. My pick in this game, though, Tanner, I'm at full 100%, not even going to think about it. I'm going to take the Chiefs with the plus 3.5. Like I said earlier, if you take out the 2 Tom Brady losses, Mahomes has 1 playoff loss. It was by 3 points. I don't see the Chiefs. I think it's impossible the Chiefs get blown out in this game. Could they lose by 7? Sure, it could happen, but I just don't see them blowing out. They're too good. They're too experienced on offense, and their defense has been playing really well lately. The biggest thing for me is Mahomes, again, 9-1-1 against the spread as an underdog, and he's 8-2 straight up when trailing by a touchdown or more in the playoffs. So you mentioned live betting, right? If you're a Chiefs bettor in this spot, wait to see who's getting the opening kickoff. Because if it's Ravens and Lamar and them go down and score a touchdown, that shouldn't influence what you think about this game. Mahomes is comfortable from playing from behind. And honestly, you should expect the Ravens to score on their first drive because their offense is really good. So I'm not going to say Chiefs money line. I don't know. Again, I think it's totally 50-50, but I love them at plus 3.5. That's too much for me to pass.
So I do have the Ravens to win the Super Bowl on a future ticket, so I'm not gonna take a side in this game. I would probably lean towards the Chiefs if I didn't have that for the 3.5 points. It's too good of a deal to pass up. But look for the live betting opportunities here for either side. I think with the Kansas City Chiefs, you're not going to get more than 4.5 to 5.5 points. Like watching it last week with the Bills when they were a 2.5 point underdog, like that's the max you were getting, even when they were down and things weren't looking good because they're so explosive and they can come back. It's not going to be like a typical game where okay, plus 3.5, if the team goes up 7, now you're going to get 7.5. I just don't think that's going to be the case. Maybe it will because everyone loves Baltimore, but last week it definitely wasn't. So I would take the Chiefs plus 3.5. Not going to play it because I want the Ravens to win this game. I want the Ravens to blow them out. I just don't know if that's going to happen. But for 3.5, it sounds pretty juicy there with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. We're both on Lamar Jackson rushing yards in this game. A lot of what I outlined, Lamar's recent success on the ground, the success Josh Allen found, and the fact that the Chiefs can create pressure and that leads to quarterback runs. Looking at him to get over 63.5 yards. I mean, Lamar's going to sleepwalk his way to 50, without even really trying to run the ball. He'll get to 50, and then they're going to have more designed runs for him. It's the postseason. His season high in carries was 14, but that was earlier in the year. He had 11 carries last week. That was the second most pretty much since the first month and a half of the season. So you could see the renewed commitment to running the ball, and he's going to be willing to absorb more contact. Like you said, Lamar's not a Josh Allen. He's not trying to bludgeon you. He's more trying to dance around you. But in the situation where he has a chance to go to the Super Bowl, he'll be willing to take those shots. And I think he just picks up these yards. I think this is, there's no guarantees that he will get to this line, but I can guarantee he will run the ball. And I have faith in Lamar to run for enough yards here.
Yeah, definitely. Now, moving into a total here, it's set at 44.5. I would lean under on this. Both teams have trended under this season. The Ravens are 10-8 to the under. The Chiefs are 13-6. I think the best approach for both sides is to control the clock, just like we saw last week, and keep the opposing quarterback off the field. For the Ravens, they keep moving the chains here. They score, and then they can get some stops on defense. They're going to be in really good shape, and the same thing goes for the Chiefs. So I think we're going to see that dedication to the ground game, keep the clock moving. I don't think the explosives are going to hit in this game as much as, you may think with these two offenses just because of how good the defenses have been. So what about you, Grant?
Yeah, I agree with you. Going into the fourth quarter, Josh Allen had an average depth of target of something like 2 yards. He opened it up, had that the huge bomb to Stephon Diggs, and he had the shot to Shakir in the end zone, which was a little short. But the point being, the Bills were they could not have been more conservative than they were. That allowed them to string together those long drives. That being said, the Chiefs were so explosive on offense. They're not going to replicate that. Like, that was the best their offense has looked all year. They're not going to replicate that against the best defense in the NFL. So I think the Ravens, while they might open it up a little more than the Bills did, I think you're also going to see the Chiefs take some steps back, and that's either going to lead to more punts or it's going to lead to more sustained drives. So like you said, I don't see a lot of 3, 4, 5 play drives. I think we're looking at those 9, 10, 11, 12, the gruelers where you take 7, 8 minutes off the clock, keep the other team on the sideline.
There's also going to be a little caution in this game, I think, too, for both sides. I think this is where I'm afraid of the Ravens. Like, Lamar does not have the best playoff history. He's never played an AFC Championship game, has he?
No. Nope.
Right. So, it's a new spot for him. I think all the pressure is on Baltimore in this game to win it. So I think we might see them come out and play a little worse than they might towards the end of the game. For the Chiefs, I think they'll be cool, calm, and collected. That's what they are, and that's going to lead to just sustained drives.
Yep, I agree. And one final prop for me here: Travis Kelce anytime touchdown score. This is your thing, Tanner. You've been saying this for a year. What is it? Big time players step up in big time moments. What's your thing?
Big time players make big time plays in big game situations. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. This is Travis Kelce territory. He didn't score for 7 straight games. Look what happens. He scores twice last weekend. He has the best connection with with Patrick Mahomes. They're going to need him to find the end zone if they want to win this game. Him and Rashee Rice need to have solid days through the air. Pacheco running the ball wouldn't hurt them, surely. But this is the focal point of your offense. If it's not Patrick Mahomes, they're going to get him the ball in key situations. I think he finds the end zone.
I like that. I'm going to parlay off that with Travis Kelce over 63.5 receiving yards coming off a big game last week. And honestly, you could look at the Ravens stats and say no Chiefs player should go over any stats, like over any props, because of how good they are on defense. But that's just not going to happen. Obviously, it's a big game. So in big games, you want to trust the big players. Patrick Mahomes in high leverage situations is going to lean on guys that he's trust. And I know Rashee Rice is becoming the number 1 receiver there and the primary target. But in the biggest moments, Mahomes is going to look to Travis Kelce down the field. He's going to extend plays, and he has that great connection with him. So I'm going to go over 63.5 receiving yards here. Either him or Rashee Rice need to go over their line for the Chiefs to have a chance in this game. I can't see them just, running Isaiah Pacheco all night and finding a way to win. I think Travis Kelce has to have a big night to keep the Chiefs in this game. So I like him to find the end zone, as you were saying, Grant, but I like him to go over 63.5 yards.
Yep, it's funny. Travis Kelce and Lamar Jackson have the same line, rushing and receiving.
That's wild. Yeah. Lamar's rushing is crazy, but it's such a good deal. Like, he can rip off 20, 30-yard gains like nothing.
Yeah, 100%. That's going to do it for this AFC Championship edition of Ride the Line. Tanner and I are going to be back on Friday. We're going to talk about the NFC Championship game. And at the end of that, we're going to give out a little special pick. Don't want to spoil what market it's in because it would kind of give it away, but it's something that you guys will want to stick around for. So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, like this video if you enjoyed. And Tanner, feel free to take us on out of here.
That was Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. We'll see you on Friday for another episode.